Hey Internet, it's RJ. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning into the show today. Now, today's episode, we're going to take a look at a credit card strategy known as gardening time or gardening period. So, of course, we will break down what it is, where's the history of this word come from, because it is kind of a funny choice. We'll talk about, the rules, the do's and don'ts, and how you may want to incorporate this into your strategy, no matter where you're at in the credit card game. So, of course, if that sounds interesting to you, then go ahead, press the subscribe button, and let's get to work. So, when it comes down to it, credit card guarding, perhaps is a term you've heard before, right? And it's a weird term because why would we associate credit and gardening, right? Well, for a quick history lesson to get started here, it started out as gardening leave. Now, gardening leave is, something it's more common overseas in Europe, European banks, I think. But the deal was that, let's say I work for Citibank and I'm on their trading desk. And so as a trader, I know all of Citi's positions, all their holdings, their trading strategy, things like that. And let's say I get a job across the street at Bank of America, like Merrill Lynch's trading desk, right? Well, Citi's not going to want me to up and move over there so soon because then I'm going to know all their trade secrets, all their holdings, that whole thing. I could probably do some damage, to work on my new bonus with Bank of America. So what they would do to get around this is banks would basically say, once I turn my 2 weeks, I'm going to send you home, for maybe up to like 3 months time. You're going to be paid, but that's going to keep you, from starting your new job and then, taking all of our secrets with you. So then it kind of paints a picture of your head where there's nothing to do sitting at home for 3 months if you're not working. So you're going to go putz around in your garden, hence gardening leave. So that's kind of where the term comes from a banking perspective. I don't think it's as prevalent over here, but again, I still think it is used overseas. So now you'll be lethal at your next trivia night. So with that, though, when we talk about credit cards, right, it's kind of more of the same. What we're trying to say with the term gardening leave is you're really taking a pause on new credit applications, whether it be credit cards or even, there are other types of credit applications you could get as well. Just basically pausing on new credit inquiries. Again, for our purposes, primarily credit cards, though. And we'll talk about the reasons why you'd want to do this. Now, of course, garden in this term more refers to, again, the break that you're taking, right? But also kind of potentially letting your credit grow over time, like, you tend to garden, if you just keep, planting a bunch of stuff, it's not going to grow. You got to plant it, water it, take care of it. I'm not a real gardener, but I think we get the point here, right? So that's the gist of credit card gardening, right? Taking a pause on new credit applications, which may sound weird to you because, again, the way to get maximum value is to go after sign-up bonuses and new cards, right? That is a big component of this game. So why exactly would you want to do this? Well, there are a few reasons. We'll put them on screen. We're going to talk through them now. But your reasons are as follows. You could have a ton of inquiries in a short period of time. This is often referred to as velocity. Building credit, there's issuer rules, the infamous Chase 524, or you could have some big loan applications coming up or being in the process of doing those or trying to complete them. So those are the main 4 reasons, right? So again, velocity, velocity comes down to almost personal opinion in my point of view. Some people are, much more worried about managing credit inquiries than others are. Myself, I don't worry about it too much. If you take a look at, our FICO wheel, credit inquiries are like a small portion of your credit score, your credit mix. So yes, getting hit with multiple injuries over time, will, drop your credit score a little bit. But again, if you're established, it's not going to make as big a deal as if you were new. But again, to our next point, though, if you were new and you're building credit, maybe you just got your first card, a student card, you still don't have very much credit history. So again, you'd want to get that card, plant it, if you will, then let it grow in the garden. We're going to just go all the way with the metaphor here, for at least a year maybe before you come back and start getting more credit cards. Because again, it doesn't really make sense to get your first student card. And yeah, you could get other student cards potentially, but again, that might not be the best path forward to get to the cards that offer you the best reward. So you're just going to let it garden for a little bit, build up your credit. Same goes if you're rebuilding credit, things like that. Now, of course, we have issuer rules. So the infamous Chase 524, it says, hey, if you've opened, 5 new credit card accounts within the last 24 months, Chase will automatically decline you. So a lot of folks, they get a ton of your credit cards, but eventually you want to get back to Chase land to get some cards there. So you have to let those inquiries fall off of, your credit report. The best way to do that, unfortunately, is to take a pause on new applications because, again, it's going to be a rolling 24 months. Again, other issuers have rules like this as well. You can only get 2 new cards with them in 90 days. So technically, if you're waiting to get more cards from Amex or Citi, whoever it is, you'd be in a mini guarding period, if you will. And of course, the biggest one I think we all know is if you're getting ready for a big loan like a mortgage, or you're going through the mortgage process, then it's generally best practice to shut down all new inquiries, because again, at that point, yes, we said earlier, inquiries don't really hurt that much, but again, you don't really want to mess up wherever you're at with your loan and lender, because again, lenders don't really get context when you put in applications for credit. So lender sees it, they're like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? They tend to freak out about these things. So these are all reasons why you would want to enter a credit card guarding period. So, there's still a few different strategies that you can use depending on what your reason is for being in a guarding period. Because again, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're in an all stop, right? You could still just want to slow down on inquiries, or you could want to outright pause. Kind of depends on where you're at. So we'll run through some strategies here, just in case you're jonesing for bonuses still throughout this period. So, of course, the strategies we have, of course, we're going to talk about them as business cards, focusing on existing card setups or spending bonuses, and then bank account bonus hunting. All of these can, potentially work depending on what your rationale is for wanting to go on a guarding period. Now, again, business cards will start there. Business cards are kind of like an unsung hero of the credit card game, especially if you're bonus hunting, because again, let's say you're trying to slow down your inquiries but not come to a full stop. Well, business cards, number one, they don't report to personal credit, which is going to help if you're trying to slow down, for 524 or other issuer rules and things like that. And of course, we've got a full video on Business Card 101. I'll link down below for you, but that comes in handy. But do remember, they still pull personal credit for approval, which means you're still going to get an inquiry, but it won't report to personal credit after that. So Chase, for example, wouldn't see it as a brand new account, hurting your 524 status in this example. Now, in addition to that, business cards, because they're focused on businesses, usually have higher spend requirements to hit sign-up bonuses. So if I take a U.S. Bank Triple Cash, for example, when I had it, it was spend $5 or $6 grand over the course of 5 months, which, again, if I don't have a purchase lined up to knock that out right away, that's going to, again, could in theory take me 5 months. I don't have a ton of spend, and, you have other cards. Ideally, you could still get in the mix with that as well. That in itself was going to slow you down a little bit, because you wouldn't want to get another card anyways while you're working on this triple cash bonus in this example. So business cards, definitely good there to kind of keep you in the game, but almost slow you down by the design of the bonus and the card structure. Now, in addition to that, if you wanted to stop inquiries altogether, well, then I think it's best to focus on your existing setup. Sometimes issuers offer spend bonuses on certain cards. Chase has done that, especially on the co-branded cards. Citi's even gotten in on that, offering spend bonuses. So it helps you take advantage of what you actually have. Of course, you can, again, optimize your setup depending on, if you have a bunch of category cards or whatnot. Now, obviously, this comes more in handy if you're, in the mid to late game, you have a bunch of cards to take advantage of. But again, you can still earn quite a bit of points here, with your existing cards. Now, to that, if there was a card that you wanted but you didn't want an inquiry, on occasion you'll see, especially on the American Express side, you'll see upgrade offers where American Express will upgrade your card for you, and they'll offer you a mini sign-up bonus to boot. So if you really didn't want to open a new account or a new inquiry, but you wanted another card, you see it a lot in the Hilton or Delta lineups mostly, but I've even seen it on the gold and green and gold to get you moving up a level. You could take advantage of those if you were offered one as well. Again, just be mindful of that if you're upgrading a card, then you're not going to be eligible for the full sign-up bonus later, because technically you've now had the card. But we can link some videos down there for product changing for you. That's what it's called. Product changing is basically what you're doing. But that is also an option to consider. But generally, I kind of say just hold tight, because you're probably going to want the overall sign-up bonus more so than the upgrade offer. And then lastly, again, if you were trying to do an all-stop, you could also take a look at bank account bonuses. So again, shameless plug, but I do have a second channel where we focus heavily on bank account bonuses, where banks specifically pay you to open up, new checking, savings accounts, brokerage accounts, do a few requirements, and then they're going to, hook you up with a bonus. Very similar to credit cards, except the vast majority of the time, there's no credit inquiry. Some credit unions on occasion will pull credit, but again, over there, I try to make note of that if that is the case. But there's no credit inquiry. And then, you're still in the game earning cash back and things like that. Now, ideally, you'd run bonuses and credit cards simultaneously for maximum value. But again, that is a strategy if you kind of want to take a break, but you don't want to be out of the game for good. So there you have it. Those are going to be our main reasons why you want to go credit card gardening, as well as some strategies that you can use to help management so it's not, totally painful and you're just not sitting out in the cold and missing out on all the money. So of course, guys, if you like this one, drop me a thumbs up down below. If you found it particularly interesting, of course, consider subscribing to the channel. So we're posting content just like this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And of course, right back every Sunday with all the news you can use in the week that was in credit and finance. Again, question for you guys is let me know your gardening stories or your gardening strategies. How do you manage it? How do you still manage to find value even when you're kind of on a self-imposed timeout, so to speak? And of course, the second channel will be linked down below for you as well if you want to incorporate some of that bonus hunting into your gardening period or just want some more money in general. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this one. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you very soon in the next one.